Hi, I'm Samantha. I started Sammy's Thoughts for myself to start off with, but now I've realised having a daughter, I really want to capture her to make sure that I don't miss anything, because the fact that she's gone from being a newborn to 7 weeks old within the blink of an eye scares the hell out of me. A little background on me: I'm 22. I found out I was pregnant when it was Christmas Day of 2019. I live with my partner as well, and he is just amazing. We bought this place, and as you can see, we're still trying to decorate and decide colours and that. Hopefully it'll be done before Christmas, because I absolutely love Christmas, and I would love to do more hauls and vlogs and types of videos like that for this channel. I've also would love to show my story when it comes to pregnancy and labour, because it's a brilliant thing and it's amazing, but people need to talk about the other sides of it and the harder sides of it. So I thought that it would be a great chance for me to explain my story, which I think I'll do on this video. So yeah, I found out I was pregnant Christmas 2019, and as you can imagine, we were over the moon, and I can remember taking a photo of the test next to the Christmas tree, because I was like, in future reference, I need this. I need to know that this was when we found out and that. Then I went into my first trimester, and that was hell. I threw up every day. I couldn't keep anything down except for my water. People kept telling me to eat ginger nuts, that will help you, that will do what you need it to do, and that will sort you. It passes, don't worry. And it didn't for me. I kept throwing up to the point where all I was bringing up was my acid, the stomach acid that you have. And I ended up having to be off work for a week, and then I got booked into the doctors, and they gave me some tablets, which obviously during pregnancy you don't want to be having too much medication and that, which is why you always consult your doctor, because I was always led to believe that you don't take any medication except for paracetamol through your whole pregnancy, because any sort of drug can damage the baby. But at this point, all I wanted to do was eat. So I got booked into the doctors, got myself some medication, and then slowly but surely it got a little bit better, but I was still heaving, still throwing up a bit. And then we went into the second trimester, and the sickness just went. So I'm so glad that I had that medication, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get the calories down that I needed for me and baby. Second trimester was pretty much a breeze. I did have a very good second trimester. I did start seeing towards the end of my second trimester that I was ballooning a little bit, and my feet, so I had puddle feet as I call it, but they were horrendous, and I was always short of breath. I was always tired. All I wanted to do was sleep, so I'd get up and I would eat, and then I just wanted to sleep, or I'd do one activity and then I wanted to sleep, and then all through this, my scans always looked great, and the heartbeat of Melody was strong. They always said she had a strong heartbeat. That always reassured me, no matter what was going on with me, with my fatigue and my ballooning and throwing up and stuff like that, that at least my baby was fine. And then we got into the third trimester, and with the third trimester, I ended up going into hospital early. So I went into hospital on the Sunday, and I had P on the Tuesday, and I went in at 38 plus 3, and I had her at 38 plus 4, and then I had her at 38 plus 6. and I went. The funny story behind that is that Sunday I felt horrendous. I got up, I was pale, I felt sick, I just wanted to sleep. But I said to my partner, no, we'll go around to your parents, we'll still have our Sunday dinner, and then I'll just go to sleep and it'll be fine. The minute I walked through that door, she said, you don't look good. You need to go to the hospital. You need to ring up A&E and that. You need to see what's going on. So I rang up the A&E. No, sorry, I rang up the midwifery unit. And the lady that I got asked me all the questions, and I told her, I said, I feel sick, I've been sick this morning, my feet are all swollen but they're not itchy, and I just feel really tired, and my chest feels really tight. At this point my chest felt like I had bricks on it, and they just felt crushing, and it was horrible. So then when I was talking to this lady, she said to me, oh, well, you should probably go to the A&E, but I'm not worried about it, and the sickness doesn't worry me, and that kind of stuff. And so, but at that time, the family had basically decided that I was going to A&E, so we went to our local A&E, and when I got there, the lady that saw me said, what are you doing here? We don't have a midwifery unit. We can't look after you. We don't have the tools to look after you, and the nurses and the staff and that kind of stuff to look after you. And I said what I was told on the phone, and then you could see that she was getting angry, and she went into the back, and then she'd consulted a doctor, asked me to come through the back. And then I got a EKG, and then next minute I know I'm being kept into A&E, and I'm having blood work done, which, if you don't know me, I hate having blood taken. I hate needles in the sense of taking blood. I don't mind having jabs, but blood, I just can't. I don't know what it is behind it, but I hate it. So, and my veins are very hard to get at as well, so that doesn't help. They're non-existent at this point. But yeah, so they took bloods, and then they decided to put a pink cannula in my left hand, and then they got a phone call from the other place that I needed to go to, because they were transferring me to another hospital. That hospital said, oh no, it can't be a pink one, we want a green one. So as you can imagine, I was freaking out at this point. I was already freaking out that they wanted to take bloods, then I was freaking out because they wanted to put a cannula in me, and then I freaked out again because they wanted to put a green cannula in me, after already going through that with the other two things. But with my partner being there and that, and being my safety blanket, I did do it. I got my cannula put in, and then two guys came for the ambulance, and they were like, right, we're transferring you, and it all just seemed to happen so quickly. And then the ambulance guy was really lovely. He told me about, obviously with the whole COVID situation, that his trip got cancelled, so he was planning another trip for his daughters, and they don't know anything about it, and he kept me quite calm, and I think he did it on purpose. And then we got to the other hospital where I eventually gave birth, but when I got there, they then took more bloods off me, and they were screening through everything, and then I was put on a ward, the first ward that I was put on, and the lady came in and said, right, we're going to put the hormone tablet behind your cervix and start your labour. So I went from thinking that I was just going to go in, find out that I was okay, or it was this or that, or I just needed to take it easy, to, oh yeah, we're going to start your labour. And at this point, once I was at that hospital, I wasn't able to have my partner, which, as you can imagine, already going through what I've gone through, all I wanted was my partner and sleep. He came to the reception, but they wouldn't let him any further. So then he just went home. But yeah, so they said to me, we're gonna start your hormones and start your labour process and that, and just keep a monitor on you and baby. So that in itself was an experience, having a woman push a tablet behind my cervix, not the most comfortable thing in the world. But once that started, I didn't actually feel anything at that point. I didn't feel contractions, I didn't feel different. All I wanted to do was sleep, but I hadn't eaten either all day. So the lady was lovely, and she got me a sandwich. No, she got me a cooked meal, which I think was sausage and mash, and a yogurt and some apple juice, which, by the way, the hospital apple juice is like the best apple juice going. But then I went down for a sleep, and she came back in to do the monitoring, and I think excuse me, I think I only got about 15 minutes, 20 minutes of sleep before she was like, right, we need to do your monitoring and everything. So then I was hooked up to the monitor, pressing a button every time I could feel pee kick, and that took, I was on that monitor for about an hour. And then when she came away, she said, right, okay, I'll leave you for a bit in that. And I think I slept for a total of half an hour before another lady came in with the lady that had started my hormone process. And she said to me, oh, you're going up to the next ward for like birthing and things like that. So I was like, okay. So I moved all my stuff there. And then they said, oh, you need to have a COVID test before you can go any further. So a lady came in with 2 swabs and put one right up my nose and right down the back of my throat. But at this point, I didn't even care, because I was so tired and I just wanted to have some sleep, that I was just like, do what you need to do to get this over and done with. As far as I know, I didn't have COVID, because they put me in the next ward, which was the actual birthing ward, which then meant that my partner could come up. So he'd already gone home, and then about a couple of hours later, it felt like, I was saying to him, oh, you need to come back, because we're starting the process and everything. So at that point, they put me on a hormone drip, and that then properly kick-started the contractions, and they were painful, very painful. I don't think, if you've got a high tolerance for pain, child labour will be fine for you, but I've always been told that when you get put on a hormone drip, because it's not natural labour, it's a bit harder. So because it's contracting for you and kick-starting everything, it makes the contractions a lot more intense, and my god, were they intense. I hadn't even dilated that much at this point. I think I was only like 1 centimetre, if that, and they were painful to me. They could be completely different for someone else, but they were painful for me. So they decided best course of treatment for me, epidural. So obviously I've heard horror stories and scary things, and I was like crying to my partner going, they're gonna stab me, I don't want this, please, they're just gonna stab me in the back. And the nurse was looking at me like I was a right fool, and she said, do you even know what an epidural is? And I was like, I've heard stories, but no, obviously I haven't read much into the whole thing, because I just wanted to go in quite naively. So she brought a leaflet out so that I could read it, and then I was still hesitant to have it, but the contractions were that horrible at this point that I was like, I'll do anything to get rid of them. So I got I was leaning over the table of the the bed with my knees up to my chin, and I had the cushion, and the person that was doing it came in, and he was like, right, we're going to do this and make sure that it's done properly, to find out that once they had done it, it hadn't worked because it had kinked. So I'd already got myself all worked up, got scared, then pushed through it to have it anyway because the contractions were that bad that I was like, I need some sort of pain relief, because all I wanted to do again was just sleep. Even through the contractions, I just wanted them to be minimized so that I could sleep. And then so with it kinking, it meant that I was only getting about half relief. So then they came back in, and I kept pressing the button, and the nurse said to the guy that had done it, I know she's been pressing that button because within the time that we've had it, she's pressed it about 54 times. And to me, I don't think that was a lot, because obviously all I wanted to do is boost the epidural to take the pain away. But clearly it was a lot because it wasn't working. So then they decided that they wanted to take that one out and try again. So they took it out, put more numbing stuff on my back, did another one, which again, that was a whole other thing of like, I don't want to do this, and it's scary, and it's hard, but I still did it. And then that one went in, and it did start to work to start off with, and then all of a sudden it didn't work. So they do say to you that some cases don't take to the epidural, which I think just happened to me. I think it wasn't one of those. It wasn't going to work for me. So I only had, because I could feel that it was working to start off with, and then I was like, oh, brilliant, I'm going to go to sleep. And then I was woken up by the contractions. But at this point I was going, oh, there's a twinge. And the lady that was looking after me kept writing down every time I felt a twinge, and she said that I shouldn't have been feeling anything at that point. So then they kept monitoring me, and the contractions were getting worse, and I was only about 4 centimeters dilated, but it felt like hell. And it might be TMI, but my arse felt like it was just going to explode. It felt like pee was trying to come out of my bum. That's how the contractions were happening, and how it kept going. It was horrible. And then so then the doctor comes in, and it is looking at all my vitals and looking at me and looking at pee, and every time the hormone drip was started and was going off, P was getting distressed, so her heartbeat was going down. So to hear that after every scan of them telling me, oh, her heartbeat's really strong, it's really strong, to then be hearing, oh, every time you have the hormone drip to try and get her out and to contract and everything, she's in distress. So then they decided that they wanted to take tests of baby, which then meant that I had to spread and have them clamp her head to take some bloods to see what was going on with her and have a look at her. Again, that was very uncomfortable, and I didn't want to do it, and I was crying, and if I didn't have the gas and air for that point, I don't think I would have done it. I huffed that gas and air. That gas and air is everybody's friend. I would have that gas and air every day of the week, every time I had something painful, if I needed to. It is brilliant. It worked better for me than the epidural. At that point, whatever they were doing, I didn't know that they were doing it, because I was that high off the gas and air that it didn't matter to me. So I don't think I would have got through half of the stuff that I had to do if I didn't have that gas and air. So then they took all the samples, and they came back and they were like, right, we're doing an emergency C-section on you. At this point, it's got to have been about 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. And then they prepped me, got me ready. I went into the operation room, and I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do this operation on me. I'd signed the waiver and everything, and they were like, if something goes wrong, we might have to take your ovaries out. But at this point, because of everything had happened and labouring for as long as I had and going through the hormone drip and going through 2 epidurals, I was like, I just want this baby out. I don't care what happens to me, just get this baby out. So I got all ready, and they told me that they had to do a spinal tap to make sure that the fluids went in and that I couldn't feel anything, and I was supposed to be numb from my my shoulders down so that I couldn't feel anything. So they did the first one, they waited, and then they used this cold spray to see if it's worked. And the minute they put that cold spray on me, I could feel it. And what had happened is half of my body was numb and half of it wasn't, especially down by my stomach and my legs. My left side, I could feel everything, and my right side, I was numb. So when the contraction was still coming, I could feel it all on my left side and nothing on my right. So that was a very weird experience. But then me being me, I started freaking out because I was like, oh my God, they're going to operate on me and I can still feel what's going on. I can still feel it. Don't operate on me, please, and that sort of stuff, which obviously they weren't going to. That's just, at that point, everything was scary to me. So then they got me back up again, turned me around, put more anaesthesia in my back and did a second one. At this point, they had heightened the dose that they gave me. So I felt nothing from my toes up to my throat. I couldn't feel anything. So then I freaked out even more because I couldn't feel anything and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And my partner at the time and the guy who had done my spinal tap was going, if you couldn't breathe, you wouldn't be talking to us. I can see the screen, you're fine. But I was freaking out. And then after that, it's a bit hit and miss and hazy of what I can remember, because I can remember keep opening and closing my eyes and saying to my partner, I just want to sleep. I just want to go to sleep. That's all I want to do. I just want to sleep. And my partner was going, no, don't you dare. You keep those eyes open, because the guy that had done my spinal tap had told my partner that he needed to keep my eyes open until the operation was done. So he was perfect. He was great the whole time, and he did it. I don't know how he did it, and I don't know how I did it, because my eyes felt so heavy. And then once she came out, I heard one sort of little wail, and I didn't know until later, but apparently I asked if I could go to sleep and they said yes, and apparently there was a bit of snoring. So I clearly got the sleep that I wanted, and then I woke up and this baby was just next to my face, and I kept rubbing my eyes because I was like, I need to wake up properly, I want to take in my baby. And then so yeah, I kept rubbing my eyes and that, and then she was just there in my partner's arms, and I can't tell you how amazing that feeling is. And then straight away I was like, is she okay? Is everything okay? Is she good? And that. And Dan was, my partner was emotional, and he was just looking at her, and I was looking at her, and then the lady that was in there was brilliant, and she took photos of us, so I'm always going to have those photos as well, which is great, because I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad that I had her, and that it ended up being a C-section and that, because I don't think I would have been able to go through natural birth. But with obviously everything that happened with my epidurals and my spinal taps and things like that, I was hazy and I was out of it, and it was very hard for me to try and remember a lot of it, or try and clock as much of it as possible, so that I could remember it myself, to the point where me and my partner can't remember what song was playing when she came out, because they always play music in the surgery room, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was. So when she came out, and that she came out at 4:20 a.m. and she was £6 half an ounce, so she was tiny, but she was all swollen, and she had a cone head. And then when we went out into the next part, we took it all in, and another lady took photos of us next to the bed, and it was just brilliant. And I wouldn't change her for the world, and I love her to death, and she's nearly 8 weeks, which just blows my mind that I can even remember half of the stuff that I went through. But I do think it's important that people talk about it and talk about their experiences, because when I had to go back to that hospital to do tests for my little girl, I sort of got PTSD, and I started panicking, and I was like, I don't want to be in there again, I don't want to be admitted, and they're going to find something wrong, and then we're going to have to stay there, and I don't want to stay there. And I could just remember getting really worked up, and then but obviously it was for valid reasons, but also it wasn't even the same department that we were going to, so it sounds silly, but obviously it's just what we had to do. So yeah, I believe more people need to talk about these experiences and talk about what they actually went through and what they had to deal with, because otherwise we're all put into this bubble. Because I know I was, that when I was thinking about being pregnant, I was like, it's going to be amazing, I'm going to be one of those mums that are like, you can see that I've got this gorgeous tummy, and it's going to... My stomach wasn't the perfect belly for a pregnancy, but at the end of the day, I've ended up with a beautiful girl. I love her so much. Her name's Melody Roseanne. She's gorgeous, and I wouldn't change her for the world. So if you got this far, I congratulate you, because I felt like I just went on a ramble and a tangent. But I feel like most people, we have to talk about this sort of stuff to get it out there, to show that not all pregnancies and not all labours and that are the best experiences, but your baby is so worth going through that. So yeah, thank you for listening if you got this far, and hopefully this will be the start of a lot. I do want to come back and do one about me and stuff about me, so like age and I don't know, horoscope and stuff like that. And hopefully this will be the start of a YouTube channel that has me on it, has hauls on it, has vlogs, has my baby on it, because I need to capture her, because I can't believe she's nearly 8 weeks already. That scares the living hell out of me. So hopefully this is the start of something, and that you all stay tuned to see me, my family, my baby grow and develop, and to see the final product with the house, because obviously we've just moved in and just started that. So yes, thank you for listening and getting this far, and I really appreciate any support that you give to my channel.